Hello, everyone. Oh boy, that was a bit too much, wasn't it? Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of our podcast. I am Basil.
And I am Brian.
Oh my gosh.
No, be me, be that.
Yes, welcome, guys. This is our podcast. It's titled Defend Your Views.
Yep.
And essentially what we do is we are young Christians and we have conversations about topics that affect us as young Christians, topics that deal with our lives, our day-to-day lives as young adults, issues that come up in the world, how we are supposed to deal with these issues as Christians, and we air our views, defend our views, and that is essentially it. That's essentially what we do.
We analyze topics, we criticize topics. We criticize views and we defend views. We do exposition. So I think anything our minds can lay our hands on.
What? What on God's green earth was that? Whatever it is that we can lay our hands on, I think is what he's trying to say. Whatever it is that we can lay our hands on, we would discuss and we would come to a conclusion that we believe is rooted in the Bible. Yeah. So it has to be rooted in the Bible because we're Christians, and as Christians, the Bible is our manual. It is what we consult when we're in doubt and when we're not sure about how we're supposed to process certain issues, because the world is offering this view. I mean, the world is offering so many views. And so it's easy to get caught up or lost in all of the views. And so in a bid to ensure that we are on the right track, on the right path, we consult the Bible and we do our best to hash it out until the solution or the answer or the conclusion that we arrive at is one that is supported. Reasonable, but mostly supported by the Bible.
Definitely supported by the Bible, but reasonable. So we help ourselves, to come to reasonable conclusions on matters concerning the Bible. Using scripture.
Yeah, yes. Okay, yes. That is what we do. And today's topic is also very interesting.
Very
Very, very interesting. Without further ado, I will let Brian take over from here.
You should have just do the do. So, today's topic is the qualities of a true pastor, of a pastor of the church. Yeah. So we'll be looking at the qualities, the duties, the description, definition.
What is a pastor?
We also have
who is a pastor?
A case study that's inspired this particular topic for now. So why we think it is relevant to address this topic now. Something happened. I think we should get to that later on after a brief introduction to the topic.
Okay. Yes, that works.
So something happened that made us,
think, okay, you know what? Maybe this is something. Yeah, this is something that we should talk about. And so after little back and forth, we decided, yes, you know what? Let us consult the Bible and find out as much as we can, and then have a discussion about it and see where that ends up.
Yeah.
So
let's get into it.
Let us get into it. Who is a pastor? If it would be funny for us to talk about pastors and what makes a pastor a good pastor according to the Bible without first understanding or defining, at the very least, a pastor, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So, a pastor. Brian, you want to give it a shot?
Well, I think we've given it a lot of shots. So
Okay,
I'll
I
go
no
with
idea what you're talking about. It's okay.
I'll go with the last definition we looked up in like the dictionary definition or the Google definition as a pastor being the leader of a Christian community,
Yeah,
which pretty much sums up what a pastor looks like today and what a pastor used to look like.
has always looked like, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the leader of a Christian community. No, that's a solid definition. Yes. I mean, we hear the word pastor today, and that's what we're thinking. Someone who heads up a Christian community.
Yeah. But in the Bible, you know him as a shepherd,
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
an elder. Yeah.
Yeah, essentially,
An overseer.
yes, an authority, an authority figure of authority within the church.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's a pretty solid definition. So now that we know what the word pastor means, the roles of a pastor, although for some part of me believes that right there in the definition of the word, we get the role or roles of
The pastor.
the pastor.
In a sense, we do. In a sense, we do.
Right.
So we have the leader of a Christian community, and that comes with authority and responsibility.
Yep.
Yeah. So as the leader, he is to serve the church service first. He is responsible for, the quality of the individuals in the church, of the members.
Oh
Or
boy.
the quality of their Christian lives to an extent.
Yes,
maintaining the
exactly.
quality or
Or doing his
servicing
best.
it.
Okay. Yes. That actually sounds.
As a Christian, you go to church for daily or weekly.
Top.
Yeah. So because doing Christendom on your own that's not the package we are offered.
No, it isn't. It isn't. The Bible encourages us to
Fellowship.
Iron sharpeneth iron. Yeah. You can't be a Christian on your own. I'm pretty sure that there might be a couple of people that would, argue this. Of course. Say yes. I wake up and I read my Bible, and I don't need to. Yes, exactly. But if you really think about it, we're not even called to do anything really on this earth on our own. Like the way the world works, it's practically impossible to do anything on your own. There's a reason why God created Eve. Yeah. That Adam couldn't do it on his own. So yeah, I think we're built in pairs for the most part.
Yeah.
I think so. Yes.
So there's that. Then there's instructing the believers.
That is true.
Instructing them in the sense of helping the young ones, the young believers, to understand what they're getting into. So he's in charge of maintaining the quality, he's in charge of instructing the believers, is also in charge of welfare of the church.
The welfare of the church.
Organizing, he's the head in charge. He's not the only one. Yeah, because there are other people that will be there, but he's the overseer in charge. He makes sure that it is happening. Yeah.
Are we talking about his administrative duties now?
Yeah.
Okay. So in addition to spiritual duties,
there's administrative.
he also has administrative duties. He has to take it. So when you say the church, you're talking about the building or the people in the building? Because you're talking about administrative duties.
Yeah.
Administrative duties. That's.
So the church ceased being a building when the veil in the temple tore.
So administrative duties in the sense.
to the people that have been put under his shepherdhood.
Make sure that the generator has fuel. Make sure we have a generator. Make sure we have power. And let us try to get public address systems. That way, you know, preaching or teaching would be more effective or efficient in church. That's all. Because that is all. That's all underneath administrative duties, and that we're not necessarily talking about the people in the church.
It's the people first that necessitates the building. So
Well, that is true.
If serving the people involves putting a roof over their heads and installing public address systems, then fine. But the main people he's assigned, the main thing he's assigned to is administration over the people, not the building. The building is secondary.
Yes, but administrative duties right now, we're talking about the building. Even though the building is supposed to serve the people housed in it, but okay. So he is in charge of all of that too.
He is.
Okay, so he's in charge of preaching, teaching, helping the people that have been put underneath him to grow. He's in charge of their welfare, spiritual welfare. He's supposed to support them spiritually. He's
Not just spiritual, though.
Physical
Physical
too.
too.
Oh boy. Physical.
Physical welfare as well. Yeah.
To the best.
You can remember in the
early days of the church.
days of the church where Peter, they were contributing.
Yes, everyone brought forth what
and people were submitting their belongings to Peter, stuff like that. So a pastor is supposed to take charge of stuff like that. Those that have, bring it to the church. Those that need, collect from the church. And the pastor is in the middle, making sure that those who need this are able to get it. Yeah.
Those who have are able to get the things that they want to give to the people who need it. So essentially, he's like a conduit.
Exactly.
Okay. So there's that. So that's it. Spiritual, administrative, physical. Physical welfare of the people. Okay.
Pretty much.
In that case, being a pastor is, we all know what it means to be a pastor. It is pretty straightforward. It might not be simple or easy, but it's clear. We know exactly what the duty of. Okay, well, and so it's begs the question. What exactly is wrong? Yes, because today there is so much. There's so much that is. Lots of people are able to tell or can tell that there is a problem. We hear a certain pastor's name and we're like, I don't know. Or we hear another pastor's name and we're like, I don't think I can go to his church. And it's like, what exactly is wrong?
I think one of the problems is people forget their pastorly duties and move on to apostolic roles or evangelical roles. They are taking on congregations that are too large for them to meet the personal needs. And that is where being a pastor really comes to play. You need to have that relationship with your congregation. So when you are not really there. So, the apostles were able to move from place to place. Because of that, they were not pastors. They were overseers in a sense.
Yes.
But they were not pastors.
Okay, so here's how I see it. Pastor, the word is sort of derived from a word that essentially means shepherd.
Yeah.
The elders of the church back in the early days were the shepherds of the church, essentially.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes the flock gets really large, and so you might need to designate to certain people to help you watch certain sections of it. But in the end, you're still the chief shepherd. So you're still a pastor.
You are still a pastor, but you are not. So there are different types of shepherding. Yeah, the one that the apostles did was from afar. You get? Sometimes they came, they were around, but they
Yes.
needed people on ground, people that were with the flock,
Yeah.
which was the main need for appointing pastors.
Okay.
You get?
Okay.
So that is why they appointed the pastors that they did, to take care of the people that are around, especially when they are not around. Yeah. So it's more of a thing of, if it's your calling to be the shepherd, yeah, then you know that is what you are doing. If it's your calling to be the apostle, moving around, doing the spreading the tentacles of the church, you know,
Interesting choice of word.
spreading the good news around the corners of the earth.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a role on its own. Yeah, and then there's the shepherd that is entrusted with a number of sheep. You get? There are people that go out to look for sheep, and there are people that are entrusted with the sheep, the real shepherds. You get?
I understand what you're saying, but this is like making an argument that, when you've been entrusted with 50 people, for example, as a pastor, you've been entrusted with 50 people. It's like saying, okay, yeah, I don't want any more than 50. If there are more souls won and you are doing a great job with the 50, it's like, yeah, back off. I don't want new people to join me,
No.
It's like saying you don't want
It's like saying
it's like saying there's a problem with the church growing.
No,
Yeah.
there's no problem with church growing. Growth is good.
Okay. So
That's why I said there's a place for people that spread the God, that grow the church. You get? The point is orderliness. You get? So the pastor, as we know pastor to mean, is meant to keep what we have. Yes, grow it, but the main purpose of that pastor is to keep.
Yeah, but you see, if I'm the head of a church,
Yeah.
and like the chief pastor, or I don't know, general overseer of a church, and that church is quite large, I'm going to have smaller or
You now have
deputies.
you have pastors under you.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes, but how is that the problem? The first thing I said was, pastors, there's a problem. We can all sense that there's a problem.
The problem is, what we know as pastor
Yeah.
is an apostle. What we see is the apostle, and the pastors are the house fellowship leaders. Yeah. So even though we understand what a pastor is, we don't really understand the importance, because the focus is on maintaining the quality of the flock that is gathered. You get? Yes, the overseer is also a pastor, but is a higher level. Yeah. We are talking about pastors in the
At the
effective,
smaller
the effective level of pastors. Those are the pastors that we should call pastors. You get?
Okay, but
It's just a thing of naming. You get?
yeah, but that still doesn't provide us with like
The problem.
the problem. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't say what the problem is. It's like if I think of a particular church now, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to go to that church. The reason isn't because I'm saying to myself, oh yeah, the chief pastor or the GO, yeah, he's not hands on. I mean, he has
He has
deputies
he has deputies
that
under him.
to a certain extent, would claim to be hands-on, So where's the problem?
The understanding of the importance, it's something that it translates to how you manage the role. Yeah. So if you understand that the importance of the pastor is to manage the quality of the church, then your efforts should be geared towards quality. Yes, growth is always going to be a part of it. So here's the funny thing about Christian growth. Christian growth is as a result of quality. That is it. You get the quality aspects and people come. Because you're not the one really bringing people, it's God.
That is true.
Yeah. So apart from the evangelism part, which is also another aspect of it, the pastor cannot also be the evangelist. It does not mean that the pastor will not evangelize. Yeah. But all these arms are there so that there is orderliness in the church. So the role pastor, yes, maintain the flock. And when the goal is to maintain the flock and not to add to the flock, as a pastor, you see that the church grows naturally as it should. So I think the problem is there's an unnatural zeal to grow the church.
Or a zeal to grow the church unnaturally.
Yes.
Okay. So even the pastors, and when I say pastors now, I'm talking about the ones that are in charge of, fewer people and are supposed to be effective. Even those people are more concerned with growing the size of the people that have been given to them.
Yes, exactly.
As opposed to improving on the quality of the people that are already in their care.
Exactly.
Okay. So the quality of the flock underneath the pastor's wings is what should be focused on, as opposed to the pastor, trying to increase the quantity or the amount of people that have been put under his care. And when we speak about pastor, in this sense, we are talking about, what most people would refer to as junior pastors.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the general overseer now. So junior pastors.
Mostly.
Okay. Now, speaking of quality, or speaking about quality, pastors are supposed to have certain qualities, right? It's not just enough to know what a pastor does or what the word pastor means. You also need to have certain qualities if you're going to be a pastor. Else, everyone would be a pastor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the qualities of a pastor, the Bible speaks or tells us or talks to us about qualities of pastor, right?
Yes, it does.
All right. So, what would you say some of those qualities are?
I think in 1 Timothy, I'm sure, 1 Timothy 3 verse 1 to 7, I think thereabouts. It talks about...
Or you could just, read it.
Here's a trustworthy saying: whoever aspires to be an overseer desires a noble task. Now, the overseer is to be above reproach, faithful to his wife, temperate, self-controlled, respectable, hospitable, able to teach, not given to drunkenness, not violent but gentle, not quarrelsome, not a lover of money.
Okay.
He must manage his own family well and see that his children obey him. And he must do so in a manner worthy of full respect. For if anyone does not know how to manage his own family, how can he take care of God's church?
That is that is very loaded. Eh?
He must not be a recent convert, or he may become conceited and fall under the same judgment as the devil.
Okay. Wow, that is a lot.
He must also have a good reputation with outsiders. so that he will not fall into disgrace and into the devil's trap.
Outsiders.
Unbelievers.
Oh boy.
So in his dealings with other people, he should be reputable.
And command a certain amount of respect too.
Yeah.
It's
loaded.
It is loaded. My goodness, it is such a steep mountain to climb in a bid to take all of those boxes. He has to be married.
I think the marriage is if he's married.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If he's married.
Really?
I think that. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you can say Paul was writing to Timothy.
Yeah.
And in some sense, Timothy was acting in that stead for that while. Although he was supposed to appoint someone like that, but you can say he was acting in that sense. Yeah. So if he's young, you cannot expect him to be married. Yeah. But no matter how young he is, he should not be a new convert. So he should have good understanding of the scriptures.
Solid foundation.
A solid foundation.
Well grounded.
Yeah.
Should have been in it for a considerable amount of time.
Exactly. Yeah. So he should have a reputation already. So as someone that understands scriptures, it should be evident that he understands scriptures, not maybe not. Yeah. And
okay. Well, earlier on, Brian said something about the issue that compelled us to want to talk about this. And it's brilliant that he's just read the qualities of a pastor, because the incident that brought about this, in my mind, there are two. There's one that's much more recent, but I'll talk about the very first one. I'll start off with the original incident. It's the one that happened between, I hope I get this right, Pastor Aaron. If I didn't get it right, please don't crucify me. Pastor Aaron and
a couple of
people on Twitter. Yes, because, yes, now that I think about it, it was the one that really blew up was the one between him and, I hope her name is Uloma, because that's not how the spelling goes. But yes, ULXMA on Twitter. Yes. Now, the gist of it is that there was a member of his church, Pastor Aaron's church, and she wasn't happy with something that had happened, or maybe the way something was going on. And so she pointed it out on Twitter. And he replied her along the lines of, I don't know how many times you people want me to tell you this. Essentially, I think he was pointing out that he
had addressed that issue.
He either addressed whatever issue she was bringing up, or the fact that how to direct criticism.
Yeah.
Yes, so he wanted it to be done in-house.
I think that is valid.
Yes, it is.
Fine.
It is.
That is standard, because we are even told in scripture that we should handle our affairs, our disputes within the church. As if the church is functioning as the church should, it is fine. But I don't know how the church is functioning there. But if it is functioning as it should, it's fine. You bring any disputes to the elders and they settle it. For how do you want unbelievers to judge the church when we are supposed to judge? Yeah.
Really? When we're supposed to judge? Something along those lines.
When we're supposed to judge in the end time, the church will be appointed to judge the world. Okay? Yeah.
So it makes sense that you'd want to handle.
Internally.
The Bible also says that if you have a dispute with your brother, you're supposed to try to hash it out with him first
Before bringing
other people into it. And, the way it moves, try to handle it with him first. And if that doesn't work out, bring one or two other people. And if that doesn't work out, then, you always start off small or start out small and keep on gradually increasing the amount of people that you bring into it until it's gotten to a point where you have to now address it in front of a large audience. And Twitter, I think everyone would agree, is
It's the public.
oh my goodness, it is quite the audience. So yes, I mean millions of people on there. And at the very least, her tweets or her message must have gotten well over 1,000 impressions. So she was going straight for lots of people straight away.
I think if you have to look at it critically, it will be mostly for the attention, because that's,
Why else would she put it up on Twitter straight away?
as a member,
As a member of the church and probably a member of whatever team was in charge with. I'm not sure, I don't have all the details. But yes.
I think that's a way to look at it. Might not be the case, but it's a way to look at it,
Based on his response, I don't think that was what was going. I think that's exactly what was going on based on how he replied. Talking about why not address this in house. So she sent out her tweets. The pastor tweeted back at her, asking why, essentially questioning her method of sending a feedback to whatever she was displeased with. And after that, well, I mean, now it's in the Twitter ecosystem, or, the Twitter world. And, well, people could not hesitate to comment or react. And then there was this particular fellow that reacted. What did he say? He said, the church is a place, I'm not sure if I remember this, word for word, but he said, the church is a place where we are supposed to co-learn and co-grow, not to be treated like a 5-year-old.
Not for people to talk down on us like we're 5-year-olds.
There we
More
go.
love, less pride. Hallelujah.
Is the hallelujah?
No, definitely not.
Okay. Yeah. Hallelujah.
So,
Yeah.
I think I have something to say about that. First, yes, I'll accept that the church is a place for us to learn and grow, co-learn and grow. To an extent, it is actually for us to co-learn and grow. But the talking down parts and then attributing it to less pride, we're essentially supposed to behave like children.
If we're going to get into the kingdom of heaven, yes, okay. Well, yes.
Someone complaining that is being talked down on like a 5-year-old is actually coming from a place of pride.
Wait, co-learn and co-grow. I'm not even sure if I completely agree with that.
Yeah, I said to an extent, yes, everyone is supposed to learn, but definitely not in the way that he's suggesting.
Yeah,
it.
because
there's a channel of knowledge.
Yes.
From the top to...
It sort of, there's like a trickle-down system going on. We're not all getting all the information from God. If God is giving all of us all that, then what would be the point of having a shepherd? Yes, in a sense, the shepherd there is stuff that he understands. There are a couple of things that he understands better than most. And one of the qualities that you listed out is that he needs to have the ability to teach.
To teach, yeah.
So as a teacher, he knows something we don't.
Exactly.
If you know more than your teacher, you're not supposed to be in that class. And we're in the church. Essentially, the pastor knows something that we don't know or understands a certain part of
a high degree.
Yes.
As much as any other person in the church. If he does not know more, he should know as much as, because he is the model citizen of the church.
Well, yes.
But he does not have to be the only.
He doesn't have to be, but he should be. I mean, look at all the qualities, attribute. This man is supposed to be perfect. So he, no fights at home, have your home in order, have, your affairs in order, be respected, be reputable, even amongst unbelievers. This man is essentially a role model. He is supposed to be a role model. So the younger ones in the church are supposed to be looking up to him.
Exactly.
So essentially, it's not really a co-learning and unless you're referring to someone else who's also a member of the church. Surely there are, like Bible studies and what members of the church can always organize these sort of meetings, come together, read the Bible, and co-learn and co-grow, grow together and learn together. But
not the pastor.
No, not the pastor. It's not a co-learning and co-growing environment.
I wonder where this guy got his information from.
Yeah, I really am not sure either. But he said what he said. And then he ends
more
it
love
with,
and less pride. I think this is a normal thing for people like this to project their shortcomings on others. The pride is from him. Him seeing someone being spoken to like a child, which we are all children of God.
Including the pastor, this person would argue. I don't think... what I really think is happening here is I believe that pastors should be accorded a certain amount of respect.
Definitely.
And I feel like there's a part of me that feels like, and also pastors should have a certain amount of authority.
Definitely.
And I feel like the way he spoke to her, what he said, the way he said it, didn't sit right with this person. He felt like it was condescending.
Well, he said 5-year-old. But my point is, if your pastor is talking to you like a 5-year-old, as long as he's gentle, he's not being violent with it,
and he's not insulting you. This wouldn't. Yeah, well,
violence, insult. He's not being violent. He's being truthful. He's gentle. He's kind with his words, and he speaks to you like a 5-year-old. Even if he rebukes you at like a 5-year-old, your pride should not get in the way.
The Bible tells us that God only punishes or rebukes the children that he loves. So
exactly. And Paul was one of the apostles that always said, I have the right to discipline you people. I have it. But the thing is, yes, the pastor should not always exercise his rights, but he does have it. And we should not forget it. I think that is something that people always forget. As Christians, we try not to exercise our rights.
Wait, what sort of rights would you be talking about or referring to?
Rights of authority. You get, like Paul, he admitted that he did not want to exercise his, he didn't want to be firm. He was trying to correct the church. He didn't want to be too firm. Yeah, but he said it that I can because I have the right, but I've chosen not to. In another instance, when he was talking about collecting money from the church, he was like, I have the right to collect money from the church because I've ministered spiritual things to you. How much more me collecting material things from you? But I have chosen not to. So the truth is, yes, we have to accept and understand that a pastor has the rights, but he's not really supposed to be wanting to exercise it. And that is why you're supposed to look out for the qualities of a pastor, because these rights can be abused, yeah, but they are there.
Yeah, so it's having power, but knowing when to use it and when not to use it.
But the power is there, and you can't refuse the pastor his power.
Wait, what?
you are under his authority.
Uh-huh.
But as long as you are under his authority, you cannot refuse the pastor his power. He has the power. He chooses not to use it because of his relationship with God or the relationship he's trying to build with you. But the power is there to be used.
And abused.
And abused, yes. And it is there to be abused so that he can receive his own judgment from God, because it's God that gave him that authority. And it's not for you to restrict it for him. He should restrict it by himself based on his relationship with God.
So in the end, however he decides to make use of his authority, in the end he will be accountable.
He will be accountable for it. Yeah.
God, because God gave him that authority and he decided to abuse it.
That's how authority works in the Christian system.
All right. So that guy sent all of that, and the next thing that happened was he was blocked. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I was a bit disappointed. I'm not going to lie. I was a bit disappointed. Now, it might seem to most that, he just didn't want to deal with all of that. And so, he just... But the reason why I'm saying I was a bit disappointed was because right after this, someone else, Uloma, reacted to it. Keep on trying to put the X in there. She reacted to it, and it's turned into a significant back and forth between the pastor, and her.
Something that I think he was trying to
avoid with this other person. He blocked this other person. It wasn't just that he ignored the tweet or something. He blocked this other person. And then he goes on to engage in this back and forth.
Although, what I think he should have done is he should have dropped an answer. Yeah, because I believe this person is a Christian.
I agree. Which is why they're trying to, propagate their own views on how this situation should have been handled. Yeah.
I believe the person is a Christian, and the person deserves some discipline. But you cannot just leave this thing hanging there for everybody to just be looking at it. It's something that needs to be addressed.
At the very least,
then,
I think.
Probably after it, you can block.
Yeah, well.
Probably after, but not before. No. The blocking wasn't thought out properly.
Yeah, well, yeah. I suppose you could say that. And then there was this. So there was this back and forth. I don't know if we're going to get into reading all of the back and forths, but I will say this: I was quite impressed with how he handled himself.
Oh, you were?
He did his best to quote the scriptures and tried to explain he tried to explain to the best of his abilities. He wasn't insulting, he wasn't rude, he wasn't dismissive. Within the context or within the...
He wasn't dismissive to that person.
Yes, he wasn't dismissive within this conversation.
Uloxma doesn't seem to be a Christian.
So he left the other person and blocked them because they're Christian and they're saved. but she wasn't. He was essentially going after the lost one.
Went after the lost one.
Well, that is an interesting way to view it. I don't know if that's exactly what he was thinking, but okay.
Should I?
You want to go into it? Okay. Give it a shot.
She replies... I think the guy screenshots his experience,
including the blocking,
posts, his response, and
the blocking. Very important, that part.
And the blocking. And Uloxma now decides to respond. Him and his stance are always moving weird. Can't be challenged. always defensive, sheep-like, which is not a bad thing. Ordering people. Imagine Jesus blocking you because you pointed out an inconsistency in his behavior. It's giving baby courts. I think she wanted to put vibes at the end. Yeah. But I don't think you can imagine Jesus blocking you because you wanted to point out an inconsistency.
Or because you pointed out an inconsistency. I don't think you could point out inconsistencies with Jesus. That's the first thing.
People tried.
They tried to.
And he gave them answers. Yeah.
Oof. Okay, well, I mean, she definitely scores a point there.
Yeah.
Which is why I said I was disappointed. That's all he did was just block this person. Like, why? There was an answer. There was an answer.
There's a lot of answers.
Solid answers too. All he had to do was just provide it. Tell this person there's a better way to provide feedback. It's sad. And here is the funny bit. He provided the answer he was supposed to give this person.
Yeah.
He gave it here. He gave it here. Even went as far as making use of, what happens in the corporate business world. He gave that answer here. Said, if you're in an organization and something isn't working quite right and you want to, point it out, you don't do it on Twitter. If you're working at Microsoft, for example, or I don't know, Andela, or any other organization, and then something goes wrong in your department, you're not about to put it up on Twitter just because the head of your department follows you on Twitter. You're not going to do that, or because you're certain the head of your department is going to see it on Twitter and then they react to it there.
Blackmailing.
Is it?
In a sense, it's a form of strong arming. If you are putting it outside, it's because you believe people outside will be able to pressure them to do something. But it spoils the relationship you have with your workplace or whoever you're trying to get such response
agree.
from.
It's also I also think it's like a show of bad faith or something. It's like, I don't trust
that these people can fix this, and
if I go to meet them directly, and so I'm just going to put it up on Twitter instead. It's a show of bad faith. It doesn't really say.
It doesn't speak well of their relationship.
Exactly. It doesn't speak well, not just only of their relationship, but it doesn't speak well of the sort of environment that you are in, the sort of environments that this organization or community is fostering. I think that's it. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, and so there was all the back and forth. You want to go on with the?
I think you already went ahead. ahead.
Oh boy. My apologies. It wasn't entirely intentional. Yeah. I'd hope to just point out the corporate business.
So you mean to tell me that
bit.
This is not one of those annoying youth pastors in uni? He has all the traits.
Oh no! All the traits. No. Oh boy! It doesn't sound right.
So also, why didn't he show me the part of the Bible where Jesus shuts people off for criticism? Carefully ignore that question. Get your banger points, Pastor. And then Pastor Iran responds, if you think sharing Bible verses is any difficult for me, you don't know me at all. Question is, are you still objectively insisting I was faced by criticism or expecting a team member to give feedback internally? And he shares some scripture.
Mm-hmm.
Moreover, if your brother sins against you, go and tell him his faults between you and him alone.
Nah, I think that's that part of the Bible.
And this is for the internal.
Yes, resolving issues internally. Yeah.
Then.
Yeah. Honestly, I believe he handled himself quite all right. He did. Essentially, he wasn't saying that he was fazed by the fact that, oh, she's put it up on Twitter. I'm scared. Something is going to happen to me. People are going to attack me, or people are going to look at me in a certain way. I think essentially what the problem he had was that she put it up on Twitter and didn't bring it to him to discuss or resolve internally. And so his response was a reflection of that.
Yeah. But I think her attack was basically on the blocking aspect.
Blocking the other guy, yeah?
Blocking the other guy.
Yeah, that was a problem. Even I don't know how to.
Did he provide anything to
I don't believe he did. I don't think so. No, nope. I'm not entirely. I'm not entirely sure he did.
Well, rebuking a fellow Christian is nothing new. It's nothing new. It's something that, Jesus shunned the Pharisees, called them vipers, So then you could not really block somebody because there was no button to stop people from talking.
We were not. The conversations weren't being had
Online.
in a virtual environment
where you have so much control.
Yeah.
But there were times Jesus left the temple, where he went away. But I think any question that was thrown at him,
he answered.
He always answered.
He always answered.
He always answered. And that is the only thing. The problem to me is not the blocking. The blocking is fine.
The problem is not responding.
You should always be ready to give a defense of your faith.
Amen and amen, somebody.
And that is where
he didn't really step up.
Yeah, that was where blocking. Jesus, he whipped a few people in the temple.
Yeah, well, the whipping in the temple, that doesn't count. That's not a part of it. No, yes, sure, it's discipline, and it's I get that, and it shows that he is really passionate about the things of God, but it's not the same as
blocking.
Blocking. I don't think it's.
I think
the
it
same
has
as
more weight than blocking.
Okay.
No, not really.
Yeah,
no.
Exactly.
Blocking is more like.
I mean,
it's
blocking
almost
just
final.
cuts. Yes, it just
it's almost
cuts you
final.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Paul did that. When he said he was handing over some
People to the devil.
To the devil. Yes. And I think that is actually one of the roles of the pastor is to weed out.
Those people who are not ready to truly be a part of the church and who are there to lead people astray. Exactly. Yeah, but that Paul, blocking certain people, it was after he had tried and he realized that, this is not going to happen.
So here's the thing. The way his response to that particular incident was wrong. But if she's asking for blocking people, regardless of the context, then there's plenty of grounds I can give you grounds where it is fine to block. In short, at some point you can block her. At some point, but depending on your level of discernment, because you have to be able to discern this person, God is going to work in this person, or this person, the devil is working through this person. And when the devil is working through someone, you want to protect your flock from their influence. You block them.
Yeah.
Block
as
them.
A shepherd, as a shepherd, you're trying to protect your sheep from the wolves. You're not trying to integrate the wolves, and you're not trying to bring them in and be like, oh hey everyone,
everybody
go on, let's just
it's
stop.
not it's not about
all love and peace,
inclusiveness. No.
Okay,
quality.
Yeah.
Once your mind is on quality, then you know that at some point you have to rebuke people. You have to punish people. Yeah, you have to find ways of punishing people that are causing dissensions or they are falling astray, and you have to find a way to separate the bad eggs so that they don't corrupt.
This I think this ties in beautifully with what you said earlier on about pastors wanting to be pastors focusing on the quality of the people underneath them. And in order to be able to focus on the quality of the people underneath, you can't be too much, because if you're too much, then you can't really
Know them.
know who is underneath you. And if you don't know who's underneath you, then how would you be able to separate the sheep from the goats, or be able to identify the
people.
wolves and then send them out? Or yes. So I think that is actually brilliant. It actually ties in beautifully with that point earlier on. So yeah.
And I think it also is worthy to mention that in the qualities of a pastor, man is there. If we don't touch that, then we did not fully address this issue. And I think it's one of the problems I've seen with most churches in the modern day.
I agree. It's most churches is like an understatement. You can definitely count on one hand how many churches only let men lead in the church. And oh boy, this conversation is about to get very interesting very quickly.
Yeah. So I think there's argument for female pastors as well, but then.
Wait, what's the argument?
There's an argument for female pastors.
What's the
argument?
Female
pastor is supposed to be in charge of women under the male pastor.
That's not. I wouldn't call that an argument for female pastors.
That's an argument for having female pastors.
It's more like okay.
You get
okay.
So it's understandable if there's a female pastor in charge of women affairs. Yeah. Only women affairs. You get,
meaning that she would not be able to instruct men.
She should not be able to instruct men, as we know in, I think it's still 1 Timothy 2.
Well, I mean, once you move past
2:11,
even before addressing, or even before going into 1 Timothy 2:11. The previous place you read, I think it's 3.
Yeah.
When you talk about all these qualities, they're all masculine. No, they're all pointed or addressed.
Here's why we need to address the female pastors bit. If you go down a bit,
yeah.
After addressing overseer, Paul talks about deacons, and when he's talking about deacons, he now says, in the same way, the women are to be worthy of respect, meaning that there's actually a place for female
leaders.
Deacons, female leaders. Yeah. So, not malicious talkers, but temperate and trustworthy in everything. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But you can't read this part without taking into context the fact that a chapter before,
he already explicitly
said
stated
that women must not exercise authority over men. Then in, I think is...
So essentially, female pastor bad.
Female pastor bad. Female pastor...
as we understand it in the world today.
Plus male pastor and Mrs. this one.
So a woman standing in front of the church teaching men and women bad.
Terrible. Not just bad, terrible.
And this is clearly stated in the Bible.
It's clear. It is too clear. So, also having the pastor's wife as a pastor, I see what they are trying to do, but it's another great disregard for the Bible. That is not the criteria for being a female deacon, being the pastor's wife.
Okay, no, but I don't think the way I see it, that can be explained this way. So she is not a pastor because she's the pastor's wife. Oh, sorry. She's not a pastor because she's the pastor's wife. She just happens to be the pastor's wife. And she is a pastor. She has gone through all of those things that are listed, the qualities of, a good deacon or deaconess.
Yeah.
All those qualities, she has them. And, as a consequence of following in the footsteps of her husband, because her husband is, leading his life in a certain way.
Okay.
And because of that, and he's the leader of his family, head of his family, and he's leading the entire family towards God. And so I don't think it's always the case, but most times, because of how focused and dedicated the man husband is to the church, that it rubs off on the wife.
I can understand that. I can understand the fact that the man being a model Christian should rub off on his wife to be also a model Christian.
Yes.
But then she has to still meet the criteria. And the criteria is not being the pastor's wife. The criteria is having a few years that they have lived, like in Titus 2.
Yeah.
They've lived to be reverent in the way they live, not be slanderers, not addicted to much wine.
And these are all things that if you put up all of these qualities against these female pastors, they most likely take all of these boxes.
Well, are they submissive to their husbands?
Well, that is something that, it's not I don't think that is something that we would be able to determine looking at it from the outside in. I think the what is it called? I think like the key thing in being able to tell, like essentially the only thing that you'd be able to use to tell whether or not she's submissive to her husband would be that, they're not equal in terms of, they're both general overseers of the church. They're both.
Okay, there's something here. One thing I noticed about the female aspect is usually about older women. Yeah. And it's analogous to the fact that the pastor himself is not supposed to be a new convert.
Yeah.
Now, what the older women are supposed to teach the younger women is in matters of submission. And you need experience submitting to be able to teach about submitting.
Wait. What? Could you please say that again, please?
What the older women are to teach the younger women is in matters of submission. Yeah. Because if you look at this Titus 2 now, teach the older women to be reverent in the way that they live, not to be slanderers or addicted to much wine, but to teach what is good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the older women that are teaching.
Yeah.
You understand? So
yeah, but it's not. They're not teaching submission. Like that surely cannot be.
Then they can urge the younger women to love their husbands and their children.
Oh wow.
So we know what they are supposed to teach. Yeah. The thing is, men and women, while generally we have similar charges, like we are told you are not supposed to steal, you are not supposed to lie. There are things that are particular to women, like the man should be head of his family. You get, the woman should be submissive. These are things you need training in. You need models, people to look up to.
Need training in?
You actually need. You need to know how to be a good head. You understand? You should not provoke your children to anger.
That is something you believe you need training to do.
You actually do. You need a model. You do.
Wouldn't you say that model would be your parents?
That is train. That's part of training now. Now, some people do
It's
not
not
have.
necessarily training.
It's part of training.
Growing up and watching your parents and seeing how they go through life.
It's training.
You call that training?
It's part of training.
Well,
now, imagine someone that does not have such an upbringing. You need to be trained. So that is why these models are there. You get so that they can help other Christians become better. The pastor is supposed to be a model Christian so that he can help other Christians become better. The female elder, let me call her an elder. The female elder is supposed to also be a model to other women, younger women, so that they can, okay, this person has done this. This person lived a submissive life. This is how this person lived. Let's follow. Okay, and this is how you maintain the quality. You understand? You maintain the quality of the women. You maintain the quality of the men, so that the church is not slandered.
Oh boy! Based on all of this, so first off, I just want to say that I think this is a conversation that needs to be had separately.
Yeah, we can.
I think
we should.
that's the first thing. I think it's a conversation that needs to be had separately.
Yeah.
And secondly, based on all of this, oh boy, the train has left the station. The train has. Oh boy,
There's a lot of work.
There's a lot of work. Is the understatement of the last 2 centuries. It's
a lot has gone wrong. So the picture, we don't have a clear picture anymore. Yeah, the picture of the church is gone. Focus is no longer on quality.
It's now on quantity.
It's now on quantity. That's why most of these things they don't teach it in church, because it will reduce the quantity.
Oh yes.
Yes.
A lot of the things that have been said, especially surrounding the gender or sex of pastors, would
I know how many people are fighting because of this.
It is going to. This isn't stuff that. This isn't cool.
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's not popular.
It is not modern.
It's not popular.
It's not 21st century material.
Archaic.
Oh boy. Yep. We are definitely going to need to delve deeper into this. Truly focus on it. Discuss all of the nuances.
And probably have some,
and definitely have, at the very least, someone else, preferably, not preferably, we're definitely going to have a woman, a girl, a lady, Basil, a lady that definitely does not agree.
That will come and defend
her
views.
That would come and defend her views. At the very least, we should have one that would come on to defend her views. Why she doesn't necessarily agree with what we have just said is clearly stated in the Bible. And boy, that is a conversation that I'd be looking forward to. I'm going to read more, do my best to make a case for the other side, because right now it's clearly stated in the Bible, woman teach man in church, no good. So yes,
no good,
yeah. So I'm going to go through the New Testament, and I'm going to do my best to read all of the parts of the New Testament that address this situation, and all of the other parts that might not directly address it, but also speak to some form of female leadership, and see whether or not, there is a case to be made. That way we would be able to say that truly, this is what the Bible says. There'd really be no more arguments to, make. Of course, you'd be welcome to try, but right after that conversation, I think we would be able to definitively
rest.
say,
Yeah.
this is it,
So I think if any of you has, interest in making a case.
Oh, yes. The floor is open, throw your hats in the ring and reach out to us, in the comment section or via our socials, and let us know if you'd be interested. And we would have conversations and try to figure out, the best way to go about it. And yes, we would have you, defend your views.
And also, if you have different views from any of our topics that you've seen, and you have a case that you believe hasn't been explored or addressed,
yes.
You can send it to us so that
please do that. We would love
address it or invite you over to properly make your case.
Yes, we would love that. Actually, we would love it and appreciate it very much. We want to be able to discuss all of these things and truly discuss it, not just, air our views and have you disagree with it
in private.
Feel
free. We are about defending our views.
Exactly. And everyone deserves a right to defend their views. Yes, everyone deserves a right to,
I was waiting for your landing point.
Well, yeah, everyone should get a shot at defending their beliefs and their views and their opinions and all of that. Yes. So I do, he does, and you do too. Yes, you do too. So yeah. I'd be looking forward to that. We would be looking forward to hearing from you and
see you.
Yep. So I believe that we have been able to, at the very least, communicate.
Convince you and not to confuse you.
Yes. That's what? No. I believe, don't mind Brian, I don't know what he's saying. I believe that we have been able to properly describe who a pastor is, the duties of a pastor, which were never really in doubt to begin with. And most importantly, the qualities of a pastor, a good pastor, according to the Bible.
Bibeli.
Yes, according to the Bible, the qualities of a good pastor, one that would be able to effectively carry out his task, his role, his charge, according to the Bible. And if you believe that there are any bits or pieces that weren't touched, please feel free to reach out to us and let us know.
Always feel free to reach out. You can even lay it out in the comment section.
Yes, and it will be read and it will be addressed. So reach out to us and let us know what you think, and we would be absolutely thrilled. Yep, thrilled to hear from you. So yes, watch, share the video, subscribe, definitely comment, and pretty please like the video too. And yes,
we'll be seeing you next time.
We will be seeing you next time. I am Basil, and
I am Brian.
And until next time, go out there and defend your views.